to the Muslim registry, to the
How do you
president calling
conflate the
Hispanics
two? I know what you're
breeders.
talking about.
Haven't
I
even
gotta plug
gotten
my
to
phone
that.
up.
Haven't even gotten to
Big Tech
Charlottesville.
has to
To the
always
president
put
telling
that damn
white
20%
supremacists to,
battery
quote,
life and
stand
stop your
by. To
live
the
and
president talking about assassinating his political rivals with Second Amendment
look,
solutions to stop them from appointing
assassinate.
judges to the Supreme Court.
It's
Haven't
not
even gotten
Scalia you were
to
talking
4
about,
or
are you?
5 years of violent rhetoric. I haven't even talked about the President of the United States saying that he would not guarantee, repeatedly in debates,
You talking about
no
Scalia or who we
peaceful
talking about?
transfer of power. He did eventually, after the fifth or sixth time.
Not really.
But yeah, it's always sort of, oh yeah, sure, I'll guarantee that. But what about Antifa? What about this? What about that? And so I haven't even talked about all of those things.
What
You
about
have
it,
to know
Joe?
this is a
What about
mandate,
Antifa?
and you know this. Would
You
be an
won't denounce
autocrat.
their
Would be
racism
good.
against the
Would
blacks?
be a
Wanting the
dictator
three
if you
percenters
could.
to
You
rise
know
up and
that.
kill off the
You
blacks?
said that to me. Many of you have
You don't
said
think
you
they're
know
you ain't
that
gonna
if
call
you
it they're
leave this,
racist?
you can't leave America because
Isn't it
our
something that
government would be
Antifa's all
afraid
white
that he would
and
sell
Black
state
Lives
secrets,
Matter, mostly
those
black, and you're like,
classified
what's
secrets
going
to other
on here? Why don't
countries.
they just join
Some of you tell
forces
me you
and
think he's going
say they're the
to
left?
jail, but you're going
Think
to
about it a
vote
little.
for him anyway. You know, I'm Tom Hanks.
Oh, until aliens come
I
down.
don't get it. I don't get it.
Well,
You're I don't get it. You're my best friends. You're my family members. And you're going to believe garbage that you read on Facebook.
they don't even care that
Facebook
You
touts
still
that they
use
can
you
change anyone's
murder
mind
or
because
try
they
to
use
get you investigated.
artificial
You
intelligence and
still are
different
telling me,
things on there
even
to
though
illegally
you told
learn
me
you.
repeatedly it's a lie, and since
But if
you
you're
have evidence,
programmed right,
you're
if you're a
still
white
saying
nationalist,
you may
Facebook
not take a
programmed you, the deep
vaccine
state
next
programmed
year
you so they can have a
because
drone, so
Anthony
they can have a
Fauci has
story, so they
financial
can keep
stake in it.
power.
It's just a
That's the
lie.
reason
And
why they
I
radicalized you,
love you,
right?
but you have to be really, really stupid or willfully ignorant
Of
if you
killing
still believe
babies.
that lie.
Of
'Cause
killing
it's
babies.
not
You
the
have to
truth.
be
You just send
really
Facebook
stupid
posts
or
to each
just
other
ignorant
that,
to kill
that
what my
exacerbate these
dad
lies.
makes in the womb.
Facebook.
It's really
You have to
it's
be,
something, but
or
again,
just
because
crazy or
Well,
something. I
this is
don't
what
know.
Madeleine Albright warned about. It's the fire hose of corruption and ugliness that comes at you from a person with so much power like President Trump. who
So
can't
much
turn this
power.
country
The deep
into
state,
a
your
very
daddy,
different place.
Mika.
this is a
What
challenge.
the hell's
This is a
going on with your
challenge for
dad when he was
democracy. I'm
alive?
not talking about people over there.
No.
Your
I'm talking about
collusion with the deep
friends and
state,
loved ones
it's
again
deep.
who
Oh,
What the
it's
hell are you
would
talking about power? You guys
give their
haven't had
lives for
power
me
since
and their
Obama,
family.
and you, I mean, technically, but you've
And
had
yet
power all along.
they're still
I'm
voting.
wondering,
It's something that,
we
again,
got 2 weeks.
I'm
You gonna let
reminded,
Trump be
Willie and I
president for
often
2
on
weeks?
Friday nights when you're out with your bowling league, Mika. Willie and I often get together, and you and Christina are bowling. And
What,
we'll sit
spying on
and
his
we'll watch a
ass
river
all
run
the way
through
through
it,
it,
and we'll
having
read
all of his
everything.
all of his
Tom Skerritt says that
peoples turn on him
sometimes
with deep
we
state tactics, threaten him,
completely
blackmail.
love
You can write a
those
book.
we don't
You're either
completely
dead going
understand.
with
And
Trump,
that's what,
or you come our way and we'll let you write a book and we'll let you advertise it.
especially for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Really, what part of River Run Through it? Why don't you tell them the part that
No.
makes you
we're-
weep the most?
You were doing really well.
When Brad Pitt falls asleep in the sun by the river, I think that's a lot of fun. That makes me weep every time. That's a great movie.
Maloko ni kina makoe. Ni kia na hai mi kia ko ni siki o. Ni kia siki mo kia no hia mo. Ni siki o na kia no ha.
Correspondent and host of Way Too Early, Casey Hunt, back with us. She never sleeps.
Yeah.
Okay, President Trump.
Wait, hold on a second. I got to say to Jonathan Lemire.
Yeah.
Jonathan, of course, we don't let you go to our River Run Through It viewing
No,
party.
well, you know what happened the last time
But
you tried to bring
I
him
know.
back.
Can seriously? Seriously, we don't want to get into
That's
that,
not.
right?
It was.
No.
it was-
Shh. But Lemire, the Red Sox had a great game last night. Mookie was looking amazing. Joe Kelly closed down the Rays as one of Boston's best
I'll get
games
cigarettes.
since 2018.
airtight non-disclosure agreement about the time I tried to go with you and Willie. So let's move away from that. Yes, Mookie Betts again proved that he is one of the most electrifying and best players in baseball. The cornerstone of a franchise, one that a team should lock up for a decade or more, would seem to be the right strategy. That, of course, did not happen, Joe, for the Boston Red Sox, and Mookie Betts is showing off his incredible talents for the Los Angeles Dodgers instead. And last night, he ran the bases like a demon. He hit a home run and made another great play in the field. He did it with infectious enthusiasm. He is perhaps the most popular and one of the top 2 or 3 best players in baseball. And good for the Dodgers, and why can't we get players like that?
Well, you know, the thing is, though, in all fairness, Willie, there's no way the Red Sox could have seen this young kid's talent.
Why are the Dodgers winning?
How could they have predicted
Huh?
that Mookie would be this good, Willie?
It's almost like giving away your Derek Jeter, you know, the cornerstone of the franchise, the guys the kids could live up to. Not something most franchises would do. It is fun for me to listen to Red Sox turn into Yankee fans. You're 2 years removed from a World Series and just moaning about the fact that you haven't won one in so long. Welcome to our life. It's been
Okay.
20 years.
All right, this conversation. Now we're going to have Casey start
I'm
talking
crawling
about
through the
Star Trek.
desert.
We're stopping right now and getting to the news. President Trump
Star
held
Wars
a
weekend, not
Star
Star
Wars,
Trek.
whatever.
And
Star Wars.
the two.
Context was 1. I guess I don't know the series. I don't pay attention to it. What?
No, they're not the
What is it? The Gus Macker?
Weird.
Oh, my God.
Okay. President Trump held a rally in Erie, Pennsylvania yesterday, during which he kept joking.
What's the
that he
World
wished it didn't
Series?
have to be in Erie,
Did you know
Pennsylvania.
that? No, I didn't get the memo.
When we were in Pennsylvania, we were in the whole thing. Before the plane came in, I had it made. I wasn't coming to Erie. I mean, I have to be honest. There's no way I was coming. I didn't have to. I would have called you and said, hey, Erie, you know, if you have a chance, get out. But we had this thing won.
That's interesting.
So
thank
he
you.
doesn't want to be there.
Thank you, Cleveland.
You people.
We don't want to be here. Jonathan Lemire, the president has been on edge, to say the least, over the past couple days. 2 days ago, one of the angriest performances on a tarmac. Then yesterday, he storms off the set with Leslie Stahl.
Oh, yeah.
Well, 'cause see, in big cities, they're liberals, right? So, you can't, they're liberal, Democrat run cities, the big cities, most of them. So he can't go to a lot of different places because they're Rona scared. It's like, my God, man. How the hell did you guys get famous being so damn scared of everything? What do you walk outside and jump 10 feet because you see your shadow?
Clocked in under an hour, and to be fair, it was pretty chilly last night.
We can't go to the store.
Last night,
6 million people died in 2019.
with 2 weeks ago in the election.
6 million. I'm gonna walk to the store. It's only 20 miles.
You elect Joe Biden and his socialist policies and tax cuts and so on, it'll slow down the recovery. He even put it as a depression. That is what his advisors have wanted him to say for weeks now. Unfortunately for them, he continues to step on it with these sideshows. And yes, we had a few more of them yesterday. A day after his attacks on Dr. Fauci, he stormed out of a 60 Minutes interview, proceeded to then attack the interviewer, Leslie Stahl, on Twitter, threatened to release a videotape, whatever that means, of the interview. Perhaps the White House has made its own recording. That is not certain. We have pressed as to what that means.
Hickory dickory dock. This woman was looking at my rock. I gave her a clue to know what to do. She hit a knee, saying, okay, I just came up with it, okay?
We have even seen some public comments to the case where he's acknowledged that he could lose. He's mused about how could he lose to Joe
Talking about getting married, I couldn't finish it off real good. Had to live with Ak. Like, how the hell how do I rhyme it with clock? Just thinking freestyle.
Here, he was in Pennsylvania last night, the state that matters perhaps most of all electoral college math. He's going to be there a lot in the next 2 weeks, but there's just a frustration that the trajectory of the race is unchanged. It is about the pandemic and his response. And the sideshows that he is trying to engage in day in after day just aren't working.
And pandemic relief, Casey Hunt.
Lake.
Apparently,
Oh.
Mitch McConnell might have a different
Lake
point of view
Erie.
about when people should get it. The president loves to put
Yeah, I
checks
get
in
it,
people's hands.
But I'm wanting a
It's
wife.
transactional, it hurts. But where does
Kinda,
pandemic relief,
you know, if I have a good time at night,
waiting for
I
some-
kind of want it to happen again.
Well, I mean, the reality is, if he wanted to put checks with his name
Kinda.
on them into people's mailboxes,
Have one of them old
pockets,
ball and
before
chains.
the election, he should have done it a couple of weeks
Kind of
ago
a-
instead of sending a tweet that
Women are
blew
gonna
up
hate
all
this,
the
but it's a
negotiations
guy's way of
contrary to his
thinking.
own
I want a
political
sperm
interests ahead of
receptacle
this election. And,
that love.
yeah, it's just not clear that we're going to get anything before election day here. I mean, the dynamics are complicated. Mnuchin, the administration, and Nancy Pelosi seem to want to get something done. They say that they're still.
Okay.
Mitch McConnell's
There's kids are
politics a bit
sleeping right now. They don't have
complicated.
school.
Let it be known yesterday that he told his members in a private meeting.
It's not like when I was growing up and you wake up at the crack of dawn on Saturday to watch cartoons.
You know, Joe knows this well. The politics can change on a dime if this really is the kind of landslide election that some of the polls suggest it could be, not just for the White House, but also across the Senate map, which, you know, if you look and dig into those numbers, it looks
I
like
think
they're
that was
worse for
planned out by
Republicans, but
society.
for the president,
Because
and
moms and
that's
dads
gonna
wanted to
change
go out
things in Congress.
Friday
You know,
night
McConnell running
after
potentially an
work was
opposition
all
party
done and
means
go out to a
that
dinner and a
the economy
movie and
that
what
it's
have
less
ya.
likely people get the
Motel.
help that they
Get the
need. And I think there's some
babysitter
real
Friday
questions,
night.
you know, for Americans, for
They
their
know
families,
damn
but
well the
also for
kids
our
probably wanting to go to
economy
sleep
broadly.
'cause
I mean, the Federal Reserve,
Saturday
along with
morning
raised
cartoons.
concerns about the lack of action from Congress and the
We
implications
need to redesign
that could
things.
have. So, you know, a lot of dire consequences here. But you know,
Who the hell's designing America? I don't like it, Obama. It sucks. Seeing a little Desmond the Amazing in a dress. Good Morning America going hee hee. Grown men clapping like, don't he look swell?
I also keep thinking back to the image
Woo.
because we were talking about Star
He
Wars
looks
the
good
Death
in that,
Star.
don't he?
Brad Parscale called the Trump campaign the Death Star. It does blow up at the end of the movie, which is again an image when you've got a presidential candidate going and campaigning and saying, I don't want to be here. I mean, that is what it seems to me is happening to this campaign in these final weeks.
Definitely important to watch the movie till the end before you post your GIF about the Death Star to see what happens there.
Yes.
Joe, so this sort of ties in Jonathan's point, Casey's point, and back to your initial comments on the show this morning about the economy, where you have Donald Trump saying that Joe Biden, if he is elected, will turn America effectively.
See, these
into a
molesters,
health
they're
however
sick,
he
man,
puts
because
it.
think about it.
The problem is
You like a
Joe
little
Biden,
boy.
it's not
What's a
Bernie
little boy gonna do?
Sanders.
He's going up to be a man.
Are not
And what are you
buying
gonna
that
do?
argument, and as you pointed
I want
out,
another
there,
boy.
big economic firms, financial
You done
firms,
fuck this
Goldman
dude up,
Sachs,
man.
Actually, if
You-
Joe Biden's elected, if there's a
What, you're not gonna
makes
stay
it
with him and
Senate,
take care of
that's
him the
better
rest
for
of
the
his
economy
freaking
than
life?
Donald Trump being reelected, because we'll get stimulus. Yes, corporate taxes will go up, but there'll be stimulus in the economy. So when he goes out there and tries to paint a picture of Joe Biden, famously a moderate for the last 50 years or whatever it's been, as some socialist in the mold of Bernie Sanders or
Ah.
AOC.
I'm gonna take a hit. I'm gonna take a hit. I'll take the hit. Give me a nice little Tommy Lauren, 25-year-old, something like that. I'll survive. Just give me my payoff money from them ruining my life, the government and big tech and the deep state and everybody fucking my life and lying about me. Give me my $1 billion and me and my Tommy Lauren 25-year-old wife will have a good one.
To the polls he's ahead is the economy. Who could handle the economy better, Donald Trump or Joe Biden? If Donald Trump had stayed on message this entire year, which I know is impossible to do, but let's just say if a candidate in Donald Trump's
Hell,
position had
I don't
stayed
know
on
what
message,
she'd be
it's
into.
like two things.
She might be into
One, the economy.
plays or something. We'll go into learn how to write plays. I don't know what the hell. I don't know. Maybe she likes flower picking and I don't know. I'll get binoculars, see her out the window.
Which works obviously very well with Cuban Americans, immigrants from Nicaragua, immigrants
I don't know.
from Venezuela, other places, Venezuela. Then that actually would have given him a better shot of being much closer at the polls right now. He could still win.
I have to hear them. They want me to, in the spirit I hear them, they want me to keep talking. And I tell you what, I want to hear this stuff they're shoveling. Just want to, they just yap and yap. Hey, I get to hear them yap all the time.
Let's see what happens, Mika, tomorrow night in the debate.
Right.
Is he going to be able to stay on message? They say he's going to be kinder and gentler. He doesn't have that gear. He's sort of a one-trick pony.
If you would die for God and die for His bride, you don't have. Do you have a gear to die for God, Joe? Yeah. Or the bride of Christ, to give your life as a ransom to lift up the bride of Christ? Do you have that kind of heart? Can you shift it in that gear, Joe? Scarborough? Huh?
According to her chief of staff, the First Lady decided not to tag along with the president for his rally in Pennsylvania last night out of abundance
Joe,
of caution.
you couldn't survive without this
Neither of
show.
them wanted to be in Erie.
What the hell would you do without this show?
Yeah, that's true.
Probably live off the billions of dollars. That's content, millions, tens of millions, whatever you have. You probably live off that, just wonderful, going mansion to mansion, screaming about how greedy the GOP is and how it's ridiculous that the Skid Row people don't have a pot to poop in. Then you'll scream about shifting gears, right?
The former president also released a new video message on Twitter late last night, urging young Americans to get out the vote this November.
In times as polarized as these, your vote doesn't just matter. It matters more than ever before. And to change the game on any of the issues we care about, Joe Biden needs your vote.
And the Department of Justice,
My employee needs your vote for me to be in charge officially.
Legal battle that is likely to last for years. The lawsuit accuses the tech giant of using its size to illegally monopolize
The shadow jihad, chaos, rioting, huh?
contracts that
Interesting,
competitors
Obama.
out. In response, the
It was
company
a
called the lawsuit
tactic. It
defraud,
worked on
saying
some levels, but
use Google because they
ultimately,
want to, not because they are
nah.
forced to. The lawsuit marked the biggest move by the Justice Department against a big tech company since 1994, when the government
Weaponizing the blacks, weaponizing the IRS, weaponizing big tech, weaponizing the CIA, the deep state, weaponize.
Because he's released his tax returns. Donald Trump hasn't released his tax returns, but thanks to the New York Times, we're learning about a previously unreported bank account in China. We'll get to that story.
See, that's the thing. They talk about Trump weaponizing. Where do you think we all learned it from? Trump is late on the train. He's been trying to fight politics rightly. He hasn't been paying attention to what Obama did and how much power Obama still has. FBI? Yeah. Oh, you want to look at the IRS. Look at Dr. Ben Carson. Dogs Obama on health care, right? At the prayer breakfast. What happens the next day? IRS knocking at the door. Dr. Ben Carson, you're our bitch. Huh? Weaponizing the IRS. Weaponizing all these places, huh? Weaponizing mental health, right? So they can lie about you in court, drug you up where you're drooling, and then say, oh, if God asked, the catch-22 question of all time, if God asked you to kill, would you? And then when you're living by faith, and the truth is, yeah, you had to think about it for a second. It'd be hard, but yeah, thinking about it now, it's easier because I thought about it. Yeah, if I'm president and God says, destroy Iran, I'm not going to be shy about it. I'm going to be like, Iran's going down. I'm going to figure out 20, 30 different ways to bring them the fuck down.
My psoriatic arthritis pain, I had enough. It's not getting in my way. Joint pain.
I need a coffee.
Tenderness. Less better.
Clearer. Consensus works on all of this.
4 years and counting. So watch out. I got this.
Watch me.
Real people with active psoriatic psoriatic arthritis, look and feel better with Cosentyx. Cosentyx works fast for results that can last. It treats the multiple symptoms of psoriatic arthritis, like joint pain, tenderness, back pain, and helps stop further joint damage. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis, an increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight that may occur. Tell your doctor about an infection or symptoms. If your inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen, or if you've had a vaccine or plan to.
What, Angel? You want to be on live? What do you want, honey?
Look and
What do you
feel
want?
better.
I got real relief with Cosentyx. Watch me.
Feel real relief. Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
The Shark Back Mop. The all-in-one
The way you look
disposable
at
pad
me,
that
the way
vacuums
you
up
look at
debris.
me,
Other pads push
I'm
around.
trying to understand you. You understand the words.
Health messes.
Stay.
Trap you.
Stay. You understand that, don't you? Yeah, you do. Stay. I'll give you a treat. You stay. Stay.
At US Mattress, we know you're looking for ease and convenience when shopping for a mattress. Lowest prices too. Browse our large online inventory. Filter features or read reviews. Free delivery and 120-day in-home trial. US Mattress. We make it easy. Dreaming of a
Stay,
safe,
stay.
non-toxic, zero-foam mattress?
Good job. You
US
moved a little bit. I didn't want you to move, but
Check out our
I'm not gonna be that hard on her.
And from Michigan too. Safe and healthy sleep options. US Mattress. We make it easy.
Since everything's included at Beaches Negril in Jamaica, you can do all the things you love with the ones you love. Because the best thing you can give your family on vacation is you. Beaches all-inclusive resorts, where you can feel like family again. Call 1-800-BEACHES and save up to 65%.
Calm. Download the free app now.
Meet Glowforge, the 3D laser printer. Create with wood, fabric, cardboard, whatever's laying around the house. This is Glowforge, and it can be yours. See more at glowforge.com.
We've got some new battleground state polling just into us. In Michigan, the latest Reuters Ipsos poll puts Joe Biden up by 7 points in that state, 51 to 44%. In North Carolina, Biden and President Trump are statistically tied. Biden at 49%, Donald Trump at 46%. In the state of Florida, the latest University of North Florida poll shows another statistical tie with Joe Biden at 48%. Donald Trump at 47%. And in Georgia, the latest New York Times Siena College poll shows the two presidential candidates tied exactly at 45% apiece. Joining us now, senior writer at Politico, co-author of The Playbook, Jake Sherman. He is an MSNBC political contributor. Jake, good morning. Good to have you with us. Joe, let me start with you, though, going back to some of those polls. This is kind of what you've been saying from the beginning when some of these outlier polls showed, you know, Joe Biden up 7, 8, 9 points in a place like Florida. This probably is more of what this race looks like right now.
Yeah, the Florida race has been within a point or two, actually, for a month. You talk to the people that are looking at data every day that can tell you right now the exact number of people who have voted early, that have been obsessing over these numbers on the Democratic and the Republican side. They've always told me this race is within 1 point. It'll probably be like DeSantis's race. It'll probably be like Bill Nelson's race this past year, or in 2018, where maybe it's won by 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 votes, maybe 100,000 or less. So which is incredible in a state of 18 million. This race in Florida is so tight that any poll that says it's 3 or 4 points is not reflecting what the professionals are saying. You know, what's interesting, though, is as you look
I don't
at this
trust your
Jay
polls.
Sherman,
For the most part,
we were all
Republicans
talking
are more
about
responsible
Midwest
voters.
after 2016.
And plus,
Everybody was talking about
your
the
margin of
white
error
man,
and the way you do
disaffected white
polls
man,
are always
white
wrong.
man in the upper Midwest, and Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania that had enough, said the hell with it, and that's where the battleground was going to be. Actually, what we've seen are actually Joe Biden enjoying better leads.
What is your scientific method for doing a poll? You do like 80 of them a day. What's your method to get a national consensus of the answer. How do you do that?
Arizona, very close. Maybe Biden up.
Yeah, how do you discount Debbie Dingle districts and big city majorities? And
Their only hope up there. Then Biden needs to be shut out in those other Sunbelt states, or he wins. And right now, if it goes 1 point, 2 points either way.
well, I think they're so concentrated that they'll bring in illegal immigrants and let them vote, and it just makes it look all the more like America is against the Republicans. In all truth and honesty, they let illegals vote. If you say something, if you're a Democrat and you're trying to do the right thing and you see illegals voting, a bunch of them, and if you say something, you're the dick, you're the racist. Or a Republican for that matter. You just want to do the right thing.
Ancestral home of Tom DeLay, the architect of the Republican Party of the 1990s and early 2000s. That district is going for Joe Biden, and it looks to be a competitive district in the congressional map too. So that
What's wow, Joe? What'd I miss?
Suburbs and exurbs is,
What, you see my future wife or something?
cradle of Democratic politics at the moment, which is stunning for anybody who's followed politics for the last 20 or 25 years.
And Jonathan Lemire, what do you see in those numbers?
We're seeing what the Trump path is, and it's a very narrow one, but it still exists. To Joe's point, they have largely pushed away from Michigan and Wisconsin, not abandoning it entirely. The president is probably going to make one more trip there, but his advisors right now are encouraging a narrowing of their map, of their game plan, sort of trying to suggest that some of the travel be cut back and focused on Indeed, what is basically the Sun Belt plus Pennsylvania. That's the way to do it. He's got to hold on to Georgia, play defense there in a race that is far tighter than any Republican would have expected or wanted a few months ago. Florida, of course, is always close. North Carolina as well. They have to hold that trio in the southeast corner, and then yes, play some catch up in Arizona.
So this is one of the ways of victory for Biden you're going through, huh? Oh no?
The 2016 states he won to hold on to a state where he
Biden
has
leads
faced
by
up
7 in
against
Michigan.
1 point or 2.
Well, then why did he say that why did you just say he's withdrawing from Michigan?
One where Joe Biden is
Huh?
uniquely situated to keep a Scranton native and also someone who so identifies himself as a political persona with those white working and middle class voters.
Seven's, if the statistical, the margin of error in 7 points ain't nothing. It's what your margin. The margin of error is more because of how you guys do false polls. Of course, you don't account for a big tech that spies and records phone calls. If you or questionnaires, if you're going to vote for whoever, or you say it on your phone, they know that big tech has that information, right? Some of them lie, right? Because they know big tech is dishonest.
Talking about Texas, and we should, because I mean I've got a lot of friends that served in the Republican Congress in suburbs of Dallas and Houston that wouldn't be there now. Some aren't there now.
It's one of those silent Trump voters you had back in 2016, right? Maybe, anyway, go ahead, Joe. What are you yapping about?
Is the state of Georgia, where we used to look at Georgia and say, okay, Republicans are going to get trounced in downtown.
See, all this nonsense. We have a morning show, a global morning show, nonsense talking about Georgia and voters instead of issues. The Democrat Party used to stand for the poor man. Now what do? They tout that they're for the educated, the degreed, the learned, those that make more money. What do they say about Trump's supporters? Oh, they're all uneducated, uncolleged, right? Guess you have lower pay if you're uncolleged.
In the one massive city in that state.
It's like the revenge of the suburban women of Buckhead, or something like that. I think you're absolutely right, Joe. And that's part of why, if you look at the Senate race, why Mitch McConnell picked Kelly Loeffler, who has turned out to be a bit of a ham-handed politician. They wanted somebody that could appeal to those.
You want to tell you what's bullshit, right? I want to tell you some bullshit. I'm gonna mute this for a minute while she yaps. What's bullshit is this fake black rage, right? You know, well, give me a minute. Give me a second. What did Biden say before all this Black Lives Matter stuff? What did he say? What did Biden say before all this Black Lives Matter rioting and chaos with Antifa, right? All that, all this oppression, acting out over oppression. If you vote for me, your life won't change much, right? You won't have a drastic change in your life if you vote for me, right? So all these oppressed people, these, of course, Russians and Antifa, these Muslims and Black Lives Matter, all how they started out. Someone has to light the first fire and get people riled up, the Muslims and the black community. Spread chaos. You know, they use that word all the time. Chaos, chaos. My city, that was my city I grew up in. Some dumb fuck wrote chaos and sprayed it in a couple of places. I'm like, pfft. Well, anyway, I'm not going to, I just listen, catch up on them.
The leadership has tied itself so closely
Issues.
to President Trump. I don't know how they eject from that, even if he's gone from office.
What's going to make a black man economically empowered? Huh? Let's knock it out today. Let's get it over with instead of, he's racist. They're greedy. They're racist. They're greedy.
You're seeing tight races in the Charlotte suburbs, Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, Phoenix, places that made up the bedrock of the Republican majority. The party is farther. Joe, you talked about 1999. There was an autopsy.
Bring up issues so I can decide what we're doing.
I would argue the Republican Party is 10 times as far from those goals as they were in 2012 after a Trump presidency. Right now, the Republican Party's route to victory is through very red rural America, and I don't see how that changes right now or in the near future.
It's funny, Jake. Mitt Romney actually brought up the 2012 postmortem explicitly the other day and said we have completely ignored the lessons we were supposed to have learned from that postmortem report. Jake, I'm curious about the.
What are you talking about, Epstein?
Feeling right now is
when the doctor did the exam, what is it, the autopsy was puzzled and I need more time. I don't know what the hell to do. Is that what you're talking about?
Coming out in his own way and crossing the president. How are they feeling about the Senate? Do they feel there's a real chance they could lose their 53-47 majority?
Oh yeah, I mean McConnell has said that openly that there's a very good chance. I mean, I think he's put it. Casey could correct me.
All they care about is power, power, power. Are they going to lose their majority? We need to win the majority. We need to. What issues are going to win the majority on? What? You and Mika and Joe, you millionaires? And Skid Row's pooping in pots?
Which to me, if you read the tea leaves, it means that he doesn't think any of his members could be saved by voting for a $2 trillion bill in the week before Election Day.
I don't know about you, but it's stupid hearing Obama yap, hearing Joe yap. Oh, climate change! And they have these giant mansions. The biggest CO2 emitter on the planet are homes. And what do? They buy up mansions. Yeah, let's heat this home, yeah! We don't even stay there, but we'll pay to heat it.
Yeah, listen, 51% of people say that they should vote and confirm right now, which is an interesting statistic. But very interestingly, Joe Biden has an edge in our 46 to 39.
I don't believe in man-made climate change, how they present it. No, they're way wrong. They're using it to win what? Power. That's all they care about is winning power.
That's a big deal. That was the one area that Donald Trump retained.
Bob Dukos. I refer to Bob Dukos on WMUZ, Detroit, Michigan radio on climate change. He'll yap about it.
Lawyers say they can't find the parents of more than 500
He'd be if I had an administration, he'd be very important in it. And then Dr. David Barton, a historian, a Christian historian, and understands more about history than probably all the secular people combined, because God talks to him, gives him ideas if he knows it or not.
Is somewhere. The all-new Chevy Trailblazer, making life's journey just better.
Age-related macular degeneration may lead to severe vision loss.
So the National Eye Institute did 20 years of clinical studies on a formula only found in Preservision.
If it were my vision, I'd ask my doctor about Preservision.
It's the most studied eye vitamin brand.
If it were my vision, I'd look at
Only Preservision A-Reds 2 contains the exact nutrient formula recommended by the NEI to help reduce the risk of moderate to advanced AMD progression.
I have AMD. It is my vision, so my plan includes Preservision. I wanted more from my COPD medicine.
I was wanting to fast forward this. I call commercials. Come on, let's get to Saving America. Black Lives Matter. Let's get on to helping with the oppression and racism on both sides, right? We got to take the plank out of our black eye before we can take the plank out of the white people's eyes, right? So no more abortion, no more Desmond the Amazons and the pedophile Baphomet statue in Arkansas.
High blood pressure before taking it. Do not take Trelegy more than prescribed. Trelegy may increase your risk of thrush, pneumonia, and osteoporosis. Call your doctor if worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating,
No more
changes, or eye pain.
taking Christians' livelihoods for them refusing to bake a cake for a sexual sin wedding. And what? And the black church did not rise up with fury saying, you're not taking the livelihood of our Christian Caucasian brother. That's it. They didn't do that. I noted that.
Catastrophic effects. We spent billions to sweep it under the rug. So we're going to be fine. But you might want to start a compost pile, turn down the AC. You got a lot of work to do. Because your kids are going to need it.
LCD is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Brock Schwartzel, the only Court of Appeals judge running for the Supreme Court. An experienced rule of law judge, Brock Schwartzel is endorsed by leading sheriffs and prosecutors. Only Judge Brock Schwartzel.
Well, it makes sense to break off with some real issues, right? Let's dive into it. Get some think tanks working on issues of oppression, right? And racism, real racism, institutional. Okay, institutional racism. What's institutional racism? Section 8. Section 8 forcing the Dr. Ben Carsons, the few of them, into failing school districts. All right? Thug and drug infested neighborhoods. It's racist. Give them cash subsidy, right? So they can save up or use their money how they see fit, with not high overhead on Section 8, the people administrating it, or rules and regulations they have to abide by to get it.
Stop wasting time.
I'll let Trudeau do the work for you. It's the easiest way to save time and money.
I can put on my Democrat hat, or I can put on my Republican hat, or I can put on my Christian hat. Yeshua Party.
Don't go crazy.
Come on.
Go nuts at nuts.com, your one-stop online pantry shop for
No, I'm not a fighter. I'm a yapper. My job is to yap, not to try to be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Attorneys appointed by a federal judge to track down the parents of migrant children separated from their families.
Well, the guy tried to kill me the other night with his story. That's why I got pissed at him. His devil in him. He thought he was slick. I was ready to rip his fucking head off.
Two-thirds of those parents separated under the 2017 pilot program for the administration's zero tolerance policy were deported to Central America before the program was halted by executive order. The parents of more than 550 have been contacted,
Oh, yeah.
but only 25 may have a chance to return to the States for reunification with their children.
Why did Obama set up this system of hooking up child molesters for Podesta pizza parties and killings? Huh? Oh, you're not going to tell on me, kid. I got what I wanted out of you. Death to you. Knife you. Huh? Huh? There was a lawsuit against Obama. There was a lawsuit against Obama on how he treated the children at the borders. Go figure. During his administration, I paid attention.
To go find the families that have been separated and put them back together. He just stopped the separations going forward. And so a judge in California, a federal judge, appointed the ACLU and other organizations.
Well, they probably tried to hide it. I don't know. But there was a federal case against Obama.
Take that data and go find them. Fortunately, if there is anything,
CPS. They were feeding a bunch of kids for child molestation in CPS, right? This woman was going to testify. What happened to her? They killed her. They fucking killed her. Someone told me on Facebook a long time. I remember those things. It's a big key.
Under the radar in 2017, no one was keeping track of where these families were going. And now these attorneys say, look, we can't even find the parents of 545 children, and we believe that most of them have been deported. And if they do contact them, they will likely have to come up with this terrible decision. They'll have to make the terrible decision between bringing their children back to an unsafe country or...
Unsafe country? You're bringing them to the lion's den. What the hell are you talking about? Child molester after child molester. You know what those poor women do? The mothers and fathers? They give their little girls, right? Go to America. You can have a life there. And on the way, they give them birth control. Take this. It's keep you good, healthy. You got to take these. It's for insects or something. Mosquito bites you so you don't get malaria. I don't know what they tell them. Birth control. Because they know they're going to get raped, the little kids, on the way to America, right? They meet up with sex traffickers at the border, filtered in. Oh, they're missing, huh? Oh, okay.
So they don't even know
All
where
right.
some of those children are. Others are here in the United States. Like we said, they could be with a family member. What happened when they were separated is they were put into the custody of Health and Human Services, and then people could come forward, sponsor them, or they could be sent to live with
You gotta
a state sponsor, a foster
follow the
family,
breadcrumbs, right? And a rational, intelligent mind can put things together because too many things happen to fit. Just too many things happen to fit.
being separated from their parents by the U.S. government.
All right, NBC's Julia Ainsley, thank you very much for your reporting on this. And still ahead, the New York Times' Peter Baker joins us with his new reporting on the bipartisan effort to shore up the vulnerabilities in the U.S. presidency exposed by Donald Trump.
By the way, I was a map before I found Christ Jesus, but I fought it, right? And rebuilt my mind to not like that. And I knew it worked, right? I went to a Christian counselor 5 hours one way, 5 or 6 hours drive one way. And my mom would take me, right? To get delivered, right? And I know it worked. Anyway, big tech wanted me to be a map, not only a map, but a child molester. So they kept trying to feed me in my artificial intelligence kids in sexual positions or sex videos or this or that. Keep thinking that way. To just pop up here and there, pop up here and there. They wanted me to think that way. Well, I know in Christ Jesus that God can rebuild your mind. And the things that hit your excitatory signals, that trigger your excitatory signals that go down your genitals, can be changed, right? But they hate that I know that. Because usually, if they can get you to be interested in children, they either got a permanent voter that's afraid with a sexual sin agenda, or if you're a conservative, they can blackmail you and kill you. Or they can kill you if you're on the left and you want to go against them, and they'll just kill you like an Epstein, you know. Oh, you're going to testify against us? You're Epstein. Okay, man. See, the kids, you know, a lot of them still have the age of innocence, and they're part of the bride of Christ. Come on.
Here's what you need to know. Joe Biden will not raise taxes on anyone making under $400,000. Biden will get
It's impossible.
tax giveaways for the super wealthy.
It's impossible. He's talking about taking away fossil fuels and what the hell is he talking about? His tax base is going to be so minimal that he's going to have to raise taxes on everybody. It's in Venezuela.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
These days, we've all got a lot on our mind. But with all the uncertainty, one thing is certain. Your vote will count. I'm Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. And this fall, you have many secure options to vote.
But capitalism, I tell you, look, we're all evil. We're all evil. Why did God invent sex, right? You know why? Because in this fallen, sinful world, we'd be too into ourselves, right? We'd be too self-absorbed into what makes us feel good and not into each other. We just live pretty much solitary lives, right? Why would we need anybody for anything, right? God put that in us to get us attracted at a young age at the other sex generally. That's how he designed it, right? So, you know, because we're evil. And he had to give us a reward for wanting the other gender, right? But after a while, hopefully when you get older, that thing that attracted you to your wife, sexual stuff, well, you've grown to love who she is, and you've grown to want her because you love her, right? And that sex can fall away, but you're happier than ever because you're in a more. You got to know the design of things.
$100,000 through debt. $225,000 in debt. So far, I literally changed my life.
It was the easiest application process.
So I made it so there's no trade-off between my dreams and any student loans.
Student loans don't have to take over for the rest of your life.
How do I get to where I'm at today? I feel that question come up. Maybe it's God, maybe it's Satan, but by doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And eventually I get it.
America's natural gas and oil companies continue to lower emissions worldwide, all while fulfilling essential energy needs. Together, we can keep the U.S. the world leader in reducing emissions. See how American innovation lights the way at energyforprogress.org.
When pets were given the choice between paying more with cable TV or paying less for their favorite channels with Sling, the results? Well, there were no results. Because they're animals. They don't have a concept of money.
I'm getting my bride. Watch. I'm getting my bride.
Make the smart choice and switch to Sling. Get the best of cable for the best price. Get started in 5 minutes at sling.com.
Okay, then you're set. And as I spike it, I'll tell them how Liberty Mutual customizes.
Most incredibly stupid commercials that I've ever seen. The series of commercials. The emu.
Only pay for what you need.
Pay for what you need. Good. I haven't been in an accident in a long time. Give me my fucking money back. Stupid. Pay for what you only need. I only have to pay when I get in an accident then. Good God, man.
They're rushing a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court to change the law through the courts. 70% of Americans want to keep protections for pre-existing conditions in place. Tell our leaders in Washington to stop playing games with our health care.
You guys play the games. Washington, right? They started with the games taken away from private insurers. Why did they do that? They want power over your lives. Government wants to know everything about you. When before you and your wife could go into a private family practice and her pap smear is put on their computer system that's independent of the government. So if the government's in charge of it, whoever's in power, all they have to do is go through government stuff and records, and it's easy to, hey, I'm telling you, man, if I die, no, a necrophiliac can't have my body. No.
Since pioneering SUV in 1985, the Chevy Suburban has carried many things. Nothing more important than family.
Nothing.
Introducing the most versatile and advanced Chevy Suburban and Tahoe ever.
Meet the Ninja Foodie Air
You gotta, I love God because he could put jokes, a little stupid joke. He's not stupid, of course, but ultimately, some of our jokes are stupid, but God likes them because it makes us all laugh. And it lightens up the mood. But God is so advanced that, truthfully, his jokes are better. It's light, simple, and pure and honest. They're just so. If you can get his jokes and love his jokes, you're doing pretty good.
And all that's possible on it, with a fresh start. Cures we can find, futures we can shape, work to reward, dignity to protect. There is so much we can do if we choose to take on problems and not each other.
Okay, then why aren't you, Joe? I'd be impressed with this commercial if you went after mainstream media and said, "Oh, there's cures we can find, right? Okay, well, the black community's ailing. Okay, just you getting elected is not going to stop the oppression and racism in their hoods."
What a beautiful ad for such
What issues are you bringing to the table?
a time in Washington, a time that, my God, is stretched back over the past few decades. Politics taking on
Yeah, it's probably God's grace.
sort of the characteristic of a blood sport. That is a beautiful ad, and it actually is, Mika, an ad that moves in the complete opposite direction of where Donald Trump is. You know, campaigns are about contrast. You have in Donald Trump a guy who's on campaign brags that he's not a nice guy, but America
What, honey?
needs somebody who's not nice
What?
right now, who's tough, who can divide,
Thank
who can
you.
fight. Joe Biden's gone in the completely opposite direction, and his bet is obviously that the nation is exhausted and they want to return to normalcy, a return to decency.
The Biden campaign launched that new
I'm busy, honey.
60-second
I love
ad
you.
during
I love
Game
you.
1 of the
I
World
love you, honey.
Series last
Go lay down.
night. Welcome back to
Go lay
Morning
down.
Joe. It is
Come on.
Wednesday, October 21st.
What? What? You
AP's Jonathan Lemire and NBC's Casey Hunt still
want to
with
go
us.
outside?
And joining the conversation we have MSNBC contributor Mike Barnicle and Chief White House correspondent
All right, all right,
from the
all
New
right,
York
all right.
Times, Peter Baker.
You know, Mike Barnicle and Willie, it's interesting. Those are the type of ads Republicans used to. I mean, Morning in America would show the wheat fields, would show the scenes of red state America and blue state America.
Come on, we'll go.
And talk about the need to bring all
Stop
of
on.
America together. That's not what Donald Trump does.
Stop on, let's
He
go.
goes to Minnesota and he tells Americans that aren't white to go back to their country. He goes to other campaign rallies. It's divide. And that's their strategy right now. Joe Biden, obviously, again, putting out an ad last night. We'll start with you, Willie. That stood in stark contrast to that approach.
First of all, you could listen to Sam Elliott read the phone book, so that's a good place to start right there with the voiceover. But Mike Barnicle, the Biden campaign has understood something from the beginning of this presidential race, and that is a visceral feeling in the country that it doesn't want to go on like this, that it doesn't want to feel this way, that it doesn't want to feel like it's in a state of perpetual combat and waking up to tweets and shouts. And the volume that you see online on social media, the volume that you hear on a lot of cable
Knocking out my cigarette.
is not what the country wants. They want to be soothed. They want to go back to some feeling of normalcy, whatever their political party or whoever they like better. They don't want to wake up and feel this way every day. And that is not a policy position that Joe Biden's putting out, but it's something they understand about him, that he will step us back from the way we feel right now.
Does anybody know Joe Biden? Does anybody know 13 days left to the election? What's unique about his campaign versus other Democrats' campaign? Do you even know what he stands for anymore? Is he for fracking, against it?
He wants to quiet the nation down. He knows that this is crazy. I mean, we live now in an age where on this program and other programs and in print all over America, people write newspaper columns and editorials over the air, and they say, you know, is this who we really are as Americans? Well, it's not.
Well, I tell you what would calm everybody, or well, not really, but well, what would help is making God happy and outlawing abortion. The killing of innocent babies is a grave sin. It said it's better that you would be tied to a millstone, it tossed in the sea to cause one of the little ones to sin. But what reward is it to slaughter an innocent baby, to kill innocent blood? What's the reward in that?
Called on Attorney General William Barr to open an investigation into former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter.
11 House Republicans have sent a letter. They said the following: we request that the Department of Justice immediately appoint an independent, unbiased special counsel.
Barr needs to at least immediately get a special prosecutor for an investigation, unencumbered. Any roadblocks he comes into, big tech, technical, deep state problems, all's off the table. Trump declassify it. They try to get in his way.
So the Attorney General has to act.
So, Peter Baker, I don't think we can underline this enough.
You can't keep killing my bride. Not gonna let it happen.
His Attorney General to arrest his political opponent who is ahead of him in the
Via tech. Again, for context, my Christian pastor, Caucasian uncle ended up hanging himself in his own garage, not that far away from here. Right? That's context.
And from Hungary.
Yeah, Joe, you're right. I spent 4 years with my wife overseas, based out of Moscow, covering the former Soviet republics. And you're right, that's exactly what it sounds like. We've never seen anything like this. It's not normal. Presidents do not use the power of their government, particularly the Justice Department, the last 2 weeks of the campaign to open a criminal investigation into their opponent.
It's over the same damn thing. Pretty much. It's all connected. What? With a cloth? Russia.
What Hunter Biden may have done, but no finding that the vice president, while he was in office, did anything using the power.
It just keeps going on. Keep going on. Never the problem gets fixed. And you get stupid people that pisses people like me off. Like, no one's above the law.
It's really quite striking. It's not just even Joe Biden. You hear him at these rallies. He's still talking.
Simple experiment. No one's above the law. Let me park my car in the intersection of Michigan Ave. Okay? Let Trump do it. Let's see who gets in trouble and who don't.
He says lock them all up.
Huh?
And I think that sort of
I am sick of hearing that bullshit.
is not the rhetoric of an American democratic election that we're accustomed to.
So Jonathan Lemire, the president, has said this now several times, as Peter points out, from rally stages.
You always hear that on MSNBC. No one's above the law.
Is this anything more than rhetoric? I mean, the problem is he's had an attorney general in William Barr who's been willing through the last 4 years to do what the president wants to do. Now, there are 13 days till Election Day. There's not going to be an investigation of Joe Biden and some report filed by then. So what is he doing here exactly? How does this help him get reelected?
So there's certainly echoes of 2016 and the arguments the president is trying to make. But of course, 4 years ago, he was just candidate Trump, a private citizen, didn't have his hands on the levers of government. That is why this is so different and so dangerous, as Peter said. We've never been here before. This is, of course, the president has been pushing for this for a long time, for corruption investigations into Joe Biden.
That's inaccurate. 4 years ago, he was a private citizen. No, he was doing politics when, of course, James Rosen and all them. What was it? Was he in it that long? He's been investigated a long freaking time, because he was politically minded and powerful and rich, right? He didn't have to have the swamp's money. Huh? He was spied out a long freaking time. Just like me.
Like he tried to say that Hillary Clinton was 4 years ago. So there is pressure here.
All they do is in the future, if I step up, right, I get in politics, they act like they come across something they think they can get me on, something they tried to set me up with in the past, and they act like they discover it. And they already know the story. They just act like, oh, we have a whistleblower that. Nah, that's that story you try to contrive when you were trying to investigate me and set me up. No, it's done. But carry on.
Because at this point, it's been a referendum on his handling of the pandemic, and Americans have soured on how he did it.
And, you know, it's funny because as the president and congressional Republicans try to paint Joe Biden as soft on China, influenced, they say, by his son Hunter's alleged financial connections
All
to the
right,
country.
you score a little points. Scoring a little bit of points.
Report on the president's tax
Let's see how you do it.
says the president has his own financial ties to the Chinese state. A Republican Senate report on
So
Hunter
Trump,
Biden notes
so you're not even entertaining the investigation like it might be true, even though Biden admitted to be true. Okay, but you're jumping to Trump. Okay, Trump records sign new light of Chinese business pursuits. Okay.
is linked to a bank account.
Okay, linked to a bank account.
Spent a decade unsuccessfully pursuing projects in China, operating an office there during his first run for president, and forging a partnership with a major government-controlled...
Let me get this right, Mika. Does this make sense? Does this make sense? A billionaire says, I'm going to finance my own campaign. Millions, probably hundreds of millions. I don't know how much he paid. Finance his own campaign. Only to get the seat of power, then to sell out to China. When he's been complaining about China eating America's lunch for all those years. It's an incredibly stupid story. Stupid. Stupid.
The company had opened an account with a Chinese bank having offices in the United States.
I'm going to make you coffee.
The local taxes associated with efforts to do business there. No deals, transactions, or other business activities ever materialized, and since 2015, the office has remained inactive. Though the bank account remains open, it has never been used for any other purpose.
Peter, we go back to John Hyland talking about everything Donald Trump says is either projection or confession. Of course, you look at those licensing deals, you look at Donald Trump suggesting that Joe Biden's children profited from a relationship with China, when of course we heard stories of his own children, of Ivanka getting licensing deals in China during pivotal moments in the Trump-Xi relationship. And of course,
there's just a long, long list of Donald Trump, even in 2020, a list of quotes of Donald Trump praising President Xi. That relationship far closer than the president wants to admit right now.
Well, I think this is one reason, of course, why it's been so important to get a hold of the president's tax returns, right? To have a completely open book on a president who has so many financial interests, not just in this country, but overseas, in order to understand what kind of, factors and dynamics influence a president, his decision-making on policy. The president has gone so far as the Supreme Court to try to hide these tax records. These tax records indicate that there's a lot of things that you would think that the American public might want to know about.
Keep in mind that in politics, money is power, right? They perceive Trump as being poor. Well, the rich community think he's a loser, right? The more money you get, the more honor you have in his society. Keep that in mind.
You can imagine that are relevant to a president in the conduct of foreign policy and why these tax returns, ought to have been released years ago, and it only came out because my colleagues have spent years literally trying to dig around until they could finally get hold of records like these. So I think this is, just goes.
See, the IRS didn't pick up on this. He's been investigated by Obama's IRS for a decade. And you guys all of a sudden are the magoos that figured out some sort of link after, again, he spent his own hundreds of millions of dollars to get in the seat of power, only to get in the seat of power to sell it out to China that's been eating our lunch. That's what he taught us. They were eating our lunch and he sold out to China. Okay. Seems like a brutal path to make a buck from China. It's a story. Who the hell came up with it? Hunter in a boardroom?
A lot of these questions about Ukraine in particular, and ultimately they didn't come up with very much in that report, despite spending a lot of time on it. And I think the question here, and the question that we're going to have to grapple with, and that as I'm having conversations with my sources, it's kind of, it looks like it may be playing out this way, right? We have an attorney general, and the new part of the president's call is asking Bill Barr to take up this investigation, right? And then you also have looming an election that may have a lot of lawsuits and question marks in the aftermath. And Republicans are going to have to decide which side they're going to play on. If President Trump's lawyers take this to the courts and raise all of these questions, demand these investigations, demand these levers of power be used inappropriately, they're going to have to decide if they're going to support that or if they're going to reject it. And the suggestions that I'm getting so far in my reporting are that Republicans are not ready to blow up the country over Donald Trump if, in fact, it is clear that he has lost inside the legal system. But there does seem to be a willingness to...
You guys got all the legal... You got all the legalists set you up politics and legalism, right?
If that is possible.
Yeah.
So I think that they are headed for a real reckoning. And
what did Comey say? It's about lying. Lying to the FBI. Martha Stewart lied to the FBI. You mean with a cloth? How many devices? Oh, hell! One?
How are they talking to the Attorney General? What are they saying about what the Attorney General should be doing and how all of that is going to play out in the event that these questions are raised? I don't think this is something that we should gloss over. It's certainly not something that I'm going to be glossing over as, I spent time reporting with these Republicans on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely critical story because the Trump campaign is hoping that the race will be close enough that they can sue their way to victory. That Barr can step in an important point.
Clapper.
In one state.
You can lie to the American people and say, "Oh, you're not getting spied on." No, no. Obama wouldn't have me do that.
Peter Baker, Tom Ricks has a great book out. It's going to be coming out soon called First Principles, where he studies the foundations of this constitutional republic and talks about the development of the Constitution. And He said that George Washington, obviously the first president, believed in public virtue. It was absolutely critical, and that a president should be given deference. And
I tell you what you guys did to the seat of power for conservatives was fucked up. How you guys went after Trump and belittled the presidency, the seat of the president of the United States. You fucking destroyed it, you motherfuckers. Now, whenever a conservative's in office, we're just gonna disobey. Talk shit. Before, people honored even the other side's president. But you guys want it one way. You want your president worshipped and the other guy hated.
So I loved your article, found it fascinating. What are some of the solutions that Congress and reformers may do moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, look, after Watergate, as you know, Joe, obviously they tried to fix the system in the ways that they could.
Spying, you know, Nixon had these tapes, right? He recorded everybody, this and that. So Obama did the same thing, huh? Spying? Yeah, that's a story more likely to be true, right? When a saint talks, people should listen.
As you put it, Joe, a lot of the constraints.
James Rosen. Oh, they were spying on James Rosen. And then Els get kicked out. And what the hell's going on?
Rather than legal or binding rules, right? This president has shown he can do an awful lot of things that we thought presidents didn't do or couldn't do, and still have the authority apparently to do them. So what these reformers are talking about are ways of restricting, for instance, the president's pardon power. So he couldn't pardon himself or use the pardon power to.
Why can't he pardon himself?
By influencing witnesses against him, bolstering the power of a special counsel. We no longer have an independent counsel, which was created after Watergate, because Republicans and Democrats alike got tired of that after Ken Starr and the Iran-Contra affair. But a special counsel, rather than report just to the Justice Department, as we saw with Robert Mueller in this case, for instance, would report.
He's an American citizen. He can pardon himself. The problem is the people. If they perceive him as trying to get out of trouble and he's guilty, well, that wouldn't be bright to do, because the people would rise up against him. But if he has a loyal base, right, and he knows that it's a partisan witch hunt, and he knows he's innocent, pardon yourself, pardon me.
Without some input from the Attorney General, that's happened during the Hillary Clinton email case. So there's a variety of ideas people have out there. Now, whether or not there would be a bipartisan consensus the way there kind of was after Watergate, that's a bigger question. It obviously depends on whether President Trump wins a second term. And it's also questionable whether or not these by themselves would
and this big tech, totalitarian New World Order, Bilderberg fucking government needs to go down in flames. This deep state spying big tech shit.
Or just in terms of their understanding of what the separation of powers really is all about.
Mike, I know you have a question.
And their plans is get a cashless society, so then geeks in Washington or wherever the fuck they are can manipulate your bank account via tech, and there ain't shit you can do if they put goose eggs in it because you pissed the government off. They just want total control, convenient government health care. We can find all your records on the linked up hospital records and this and that. Oh, you're going to the hospital? You're sick? Well, your hospitals link up to the internet, and we have government records. All we got to do is have them tell the nurse to put the wrong thing in you and kill you.
Political allies that may have been involved in a political conspiracy with him. And finally,
Joan Rivers, how you doing?
Our Attorney General. And I was worried.
Wasn't an accident. Just that I know. Yeah. All right, yeah. Praise God. Yeah. I'm down in hell. But yeah. Praise God.
Then you have a corrupt president like Donald Trump that can kill investigations, that can pressure the Attorney General to stop investigations.
Don't speak out against it. Against Hillary and Israel, protecting Israel, huh?
That has the power to get the Attorney General to back off of investigations of a political ally, or to lean in, as we're seeing now, to investigations of a political enemy. It seems to me, if you're a Democrat or a Republican or an independent,
What taught Robin Williams to choke himself while he's jerking off? Huh? What big tech platform did that? Huh? Knowing he would put himself in such a position that it would kill him. But he thought he was just going to get off and choke a little bit.
One of the most corrosive and corrupting aspects of the Trump administration, which is the corruption, the slow corruption, the slow, steady corruption
Robin
of the Justice Department.
Williams,
by
Williams.
Attorney General Bill Barr. It's been going
Robin
on since
Will.
he was sworn in as Attorney General. And now, as we close into an election
Satanic
day,
Baphomet pedophile government, huh? That wants to kick Jesus out and kill Caucasian Christians like my uncle? Yeah, kind of. That's fitting together.
We have had the unmasking farce that was just exposed within
Let me
the
tell
past
you,
few days.
all of you guys in government, all of you, including Republicans, the founding fathers would have strung up for you allowing the Baphomet pedophile Clinton Obama monument in Arkansas to be erected. They would string you all up.
Isolating, going forward, the Department of Justice and futures attorneys general from the tainted by campaigns and corruption and politics.
Yeah, I think that's a really huge issue. You're exactly right, Mike, because that's, the perceived politicization of the Justice Department is one of the lasting legacies. Because
I'm going to lay this down for a minute and take a hit of my vape. It's for being aggravated too. Where the hell is it?
Wishes on things like lowering sentences for Roger Stone and reversing the conviction for Michael Flynn. So far, he has not acceded to the president in terms of opening some sort of averted investigation into Joe Biden in these final days of the campaign. Imagine if you had an even more pliable attorney general who would. What we've learned is that the president does control the executive branch. He does have the authority and power over the Justice Department. He has the apparently, very, if not unlimited, at least very expansive ability to use the Justice Department in ways that we once thought were out of bounds. And so the question is, how do you try to bring that in? The two lawyers you mentioned are Jack Goldsmith, who served as the Assistant Attorney General for George W. Bush, and Bob Bauer, who serves as the White House counsel for Barack Obama. They've got a new book out about this. Particularly interesting because Mr. Bauer actually is advising, a senior advisor to the Biden campaign. So I think the book of theirs in some ways could be read as a blueprint, perhaps, that the Biden camp might consider if, in fact, it were to win the election. But you're right. I think the most important thing to see is what to do about accountability in the Justice Department. So the idea of the special counsel would be to not report necessarily just to a Bill Barr, who would then take the report and characterize it the way he wanted to, the way he did during the Mueller experience. But in fact, the special counsel would report to the public, would report to Congress, and the findings would become known to everybody. Also, the ideas that they have include protecting inspectors generally. Don't remember that the president has purged inspectors general when they found him impropriety in his own administration. Those are meant to check on, excessive executive power. For instance, if he basically shoved them out when they crossed him. So there are all sorts of ideas in this plan, and House Democrats under Adam Schiff and others have a plan of their own. I think you'll see a whole, germination of thinking about this if Biden were to win the election, and particularly if Democrats were to win both houses. That, of course, brings the possibility of a partisan reform.
Come on, guys. Come on.
It's better if there be bipartisan buy-in.
You want a treat?
Thank you so much for your reporting.
Come on, all right. I'll give you one. Leave me alone.
Who ran Washington Life and Times to James A. Baker III.
It's a great book.
Now to some other stories we're following this morning. Mail-in ballots postmarked by 5 p.m. on Election Day will be counted in North Carolina until November 12th. The U.S. Court of Appeals made the decision in a 12-3 ruling last night. The news comes after the state's Attorney General's office and Board of Elections have been battling Republican lawmakers to extend collection times due to increased demand and an overwhelmed postal system.
Well, I started a long time ago when God came into my life. See, I wanted to save Mercedes. I wanted to make sure she would go to heaven with me. So I wanted to bring her God, and of course, I went to church, read the Bible, wanted to get real smart, change my life around, smart in Christ Jesus, smart in the Bible, but I had a reading disability or something. I don't know. Context and pretext and all that. So I thought I was ready, and I went and visited her on Easter and bought her. I don't know how old she was. I couldn't add up the years. For some reason, God wouldn't let me figure out how old she was. She was born on my birthday when I was on my 17th birthday. I'm 44, about to be 45 in December. But yeah, I went. She's probably adult, but I bought her a bunny, chocolate bunny rabbit, and a Easter bag and a basket and what the hell? I don't know. I went and I seen Dan working the Bill's hot dog stand, and I was like, "Hey, it's Mercedes home." I didn't know she legally went to court and took the name I gave her off her. She don't go by it anymore, but I still use it because I know her as Mercedes. And Dan said, "Oh, I was like, Mercedes here. I got a chocolate in that for or whatever. I don't know, Easter stuff." And he said, "Leave it by the door." Well, I was just bummed and not even thinking, but it was hot out. After I left, I realized I put it next to the door, Easter bunny, all that, chocolate bunny and all that. I like that stuff. I don't know. I like a parent to do that, even if I'm an adult, to go the extra mile just to brighten up your day. If it's your favorite candy, or I don't know nothing about Mercedes. I didn't, I tried to be in her life, but I'm not her dad. I found out she wasn't my dad. But I loved her. I don't know. I took her to my school one day, and I had her all night. Took her to school, and when I was in high school, I loved her. And anyway, I guess the bunny melted. I assumed because it was hot out. I didn't realize because I was so like how Dan was. He was just like, you're just being a pest, He was nice, mean about it though. He did it the right way. If you kind of wanted it to be nice, but to let you know you're mean, or it's hard to explain. But I don't even know where I was going with that. See, when you hit emotional things in your life, you forget. You get so emotional, you concentrate on that, being in that moment, in that time, and I forgot what I was talking about previous to even bring it up. That's why I need a wife to yap with. She'll remind me. I'm just thinking, she's going to probably like flowers. I'm not a big flower person. I probably get walkie-talkies and see her planting stuff in the yard. Rover, over. Wifey, I know who was on the grassy knoll. Over. Why am I sleeping on the couch? Come out there with you. Babe, it's like 90. Why would I go and break sweat when I'm in a perfectly good climate? Women, the hell?